Hello, you awful, awful people. And welcome back to An Awful Lot of Running, a Doctor Who podcast.
As a wise man once said, woo,
Woo! Oh, yes, lovely, lovely. To the uneducated, I am Jack Alexander. I run this show, usually with the wonderful, intrepid Robin Fowle, published author. But today hang on, wait, Star, who said you could come out of the editing booth?
me.
Fair enough. I'm joined by our intrepid, using intrepid a lot tonight, but she is intrepid. She's wonderful. It's Star, our editor and producer.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hello.
Hi. How are you tonight, Star?
I'm all right actually. I've just finished watching the TV movie about 40 minutes ago, so I'm very hyped for this. I
Well,
love the
yeah.
TV movie.
I thought it only right that you came and joined us, another special guest host, which I'll get to in a second. They came and joined us because I know what the TV movie means to you. I know how special the Eighth Doctor is, and that's what we're celebrating tonight. Which brings me on to our next guest. He is as charismatic and handsome as the Eighth Doctor himself. It's someone that I consider to be the biggest Eighth Doctor fan I know. It's the amazing Philip Hawkins. How are you, Phil? How you doing?
I've got to live up to that now, haven't I? The biggest Eighth Doctor fan, you know. If I better be on the ball.
Phil, I was very privileged. You invited me, and I came to your 40th birthday party last year. Which
You
was very
did. You got
lovely.
me a wonderful gift. Thank you.
Yes, a very topical gift as well, because it
Yes.
was the Radio Times, which came out to promote.
It did, yes, and framed and everything. It was
Yeah.
great.
I was
Thank you very much.
very, very kind with that. Yeah, it was to promote what we're talking about tonight, which is Doctor Who, the TV movie, the pilot from 1996, which obviously didn't go where they wanted it in terms of the TV
No.
show, but it gave us some wonderful stuff out of it anyway.
Gave us so much.
Yes, so much. Oh yeah, definitely gave Big Finish enough. Let's face
It's cost me so much money.
Yeah. I've seen your shelves. I've seen the chronological order.
Yep.
Yeah. It's I mean, I say we're here to talk about the TV movie. It's because in particular it's a very special anniversary, sorry. It's the 30th anniversary of the TV movie. It's 30 years old this year.
Man, God, that makes me feel old.
It's
I watched it on TV.
Can you believe it, Star? It's as old as you.
I'm not old. What?
Don't. I'm not accepting I'm 30. I'm 29.2 forever.
Sure.
I'm not
Okay.
aging. I'm not
Sure.
becoming old.
Well, we were saying just before we started the show, Star, you would have been a couple months old by the time this came out.
Yeah, because I'm born late March, so it'd been like 1 or 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
2 months? Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, I would have been 5, so that's five and a couple months old. Yeah, so
I would have been 10
Yeah.
when it came out.
Did you watch it when it came out, Phil? Were you
Yeah,
into it
yeah.
at that point? Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, probably I wouldn't say I was into it in the same way I am now, I suppose. I was into it in the same way I was into anything, which was very casually, because, those of us that remember the 90s, if you missed stuff on TV, it was very hard and expensive to watch stuff. They were releasing VHSs, but I think I owned 2 Doctor Who VHSs. That was the 5 Doctors and Daleks the early years, because they were expensive. I couldn't get a big collection. So I watched some bits and pieces on BBC Two repeats of the Pertwee years. I had like what was it? What's that really rubbish board game that they brought out in the 90s? I forgot what it's called now, but it had the really bad artwork. And so I was kind of that level of fan where I had some merch, but not much. And I watched it when I caught it on TV. But I was very excited that it was coming back, and it looked all glossy and American.
Well, for me, I wouldn't have watched it when it went out, but I remember a couple of years later when they did that big Doctor Who night. I think that was 1999.
Oh, 99, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing bits of that and like seeing the interesting sort of trailers they had with Tom Baker being all Tom Bakery and excited for it and what have you. So I remember actually watching a lot of that and recording it on a VHS tape. But the trouble is, because they repeated the TV movie that night as well, by the time I got to the TV movie, I think I only got like the first 5 minutes and the VHS ran out.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, and that was sort of like my dalliance into Doctor Who. I sort of, played with it a little bit, and then of course it wasn't on TV, and they stopped the repeats, which they started repeating some Pertwee and Tom Baker stories after that on BBC, and then stopped because it didn't do so well. That was sort of Doctor Who for me until 2005, at which point I then started collecting like the classic Who DVDs, and that's when I saw the TV movie proper and went, oh, this is what could have been.
Yeah. Well, when I heard it was coming back, I was at uni when it came back in 2005. So I was like with my housemate, who I watched quite a lot of sci-fi type stuff with, in our living room and in our rooms and stuff. So I was like, right, there's this show coming back he was American as well. So my friend Chris, who you might have met at my party, I can't remember. But he was so I was wanting to introduce him to it. He kind of vaguely had heard of it. So I was like, right, new series coming back, but let's watch the TV movie first, because I thought that's a good route in. It's not too old. It doesn't look too kooky. It's got the good production values. And he seemed to enjoy that. So then I managed to get him to watch 2005 when it came on as well with me.
Yeah, I think spoilers as well. I really do think, in my mind, it holds up. I think it's still a very good piece of television, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I think there's aspects to it, like any Doctor Who, where it's like, oh, maybe this could have been a bit better here. But I was rewatching it today, and I've enjoyed it every time I've seen it. And I thought, yeah, there's still a lot you can get from this.
Even as I'm sure we'll talk about individual characters and stuff in it as we go in, but even aspects of it that I used to not like, I found myself liking more. Like I used to kind of go to, when people ask my opinion on the TV movie sort of 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, I really like it. Shame about Eric Roberts though. And I wasn't a fan of Eric Roberts. I thought I just didn't think he could act. But and having seen him in some other stuff, maybe he still can't. Maybe he can just play the one character. But he does actually, rewatching this now, I actually really enjoyed his overly hammy performances. I didn't like it when I was younger, but I kind of appreciate it a bit more now.
Yeah, it's funny because I was sort of always like, oh, he's all right. Yeah, he's okay in it. Like, yeah, he does. Yeah, he chooses the scenery, but it's quite good. I was really surprised when I was watching it today how much I sort of saw depth behind it that I didn't necessarily before. I could see. I'm in no realm do I imagine Eric Roberts actually sat down and watched like a Delgado or an Ainley story. Like, there's no way he was sat there watching, King's Demons or something, was there? He's not gonna have done that. But there were aspects of his performance that I was like, oh yeah, that really is the master coming through. Like there was humor, which I think the master is, I always looked at it before. I think it's a pretty reductive like performance of the master. It's maybe because of the script where it's sort of just like making him out to just be he's evil, that's it. But no, that there was more depth, I felt, which I think obviously Big Finish have run with as well recently, which is
yeah, maybe it's his return to Big Finish that just made me appreciate him a bit more. I think as Big Finish often does, it revisits characters that you maybe weren't keen on and makes you go, actually there might be something to these characters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about you, Star? What's has Eric Roberts ever been bad for you or been right for you? Or
I've always just liked him. I think it was pretty good. He's just kind of the master. That's really it for me. I don't really say I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's the best. He's just kind of there. He does what he needs to, and I like it.
Yeah,
I think what he does best is with it leaning more into. Well, I suppose I call it the bridge. It leans very much into the camp, which is very classic Who, but it also feels like it's like the starting points of what we got in modern Who in terms of campness as well. Like, there's a lot in this movie that, having rewatched like again about an hour or so ago now, there's a lot that I noted that the modern series does now. And I'm pretty sure it's because of this. And it's just very interesting seeing the more and more I watch it, seeing more of those things turn up and be like,
Yeah.
oh, they did this.
Like
Like
all the
the-
kissing.
I was about to say, all the
Yeah, the
kissing.
kissing.
Does
No,
this-
my main thought was this is kind of jumping ahead to like the end, but when Chang and Grace come back to life, there's that golden glow.
Yeah.
Obviously, that comes back as regeneration energy. So
I did
also-
wonder if
there's
it
a
was
few-
regeneration energy.
Hmm.
I like to think it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely think like what you're speaking to about, there's this sort of like, you can see the building blocks of New Who within that in the same way that I think you can see that in, like, say if I threw on Survival, like, the last episode of Classic Who, you can see that DNA coming into this, and you can see that then play into, particularly Rose when that comes back as well. You can see all of that. So I think, yeah, you can see it all. It's almost at this point, it's like it's still cooking. It's a very good meal.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of fun from this, but yeah, it goes on to develop more and be the new series as we know it now.
Yeah, you see a bit of it in, it's like you say, in Survival. You get a bit more ingredients from this, and then you add a lot from Curse of the Fatal Death as well, which also has loads of elements from for those that don't know, that's the comedy sort of Rowan Atkinson starring thing they did for Red Nose Day in 1999.
To be
99,
fair,
wasn't it? Yeah,
they got Stephen Moffat for that.
Stephen Moffat writing
It was
it,
already
yeah, so-
loaded with you.
I think I did a video about 9 years ago about all the things in that are directly that Stephen Moffat would go on to incorporate into his actual series.
What I will say as well is with this today, it's so wonderful to be at this point where I can go to iPlayer, I can go to the Whoniverse, and this is there included as part of it. Because for so long, Classic Who and this, which they put under the Classic Who banner, which is very lovely as well, that you can go there and you can watch this. It's there now and it's accessible. I just think there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, definitely. Because not everyone's going to have pre-ordered the 4K Blu-ray that we've all ordered.
No, not everyone's going to be not everyone's losers like us, Phil. Come on, no.
Spending money on TV episodes they've already bought like 4 other times.
Yeah, it's the life of a Doctor Who fan is that you double dip,
triple
dip, quadruple dip.
Well, there's nothing I can dip to fasten you up.
Just for the new version. And I gotta say, I'm really excited for this new 4K render that's coming out of it and what have you. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm interested to see if they do any of the sort of level of stuff they do with the collection sets in particular.
Well, there are some special features on it that are new. So hopefully, I mean, obviously, it's the equivalent of having one story in a collection set. So you won't get as many new features as you get in a collection set, because that's multiple stories. But yeah, it does look like there's Matthew Sweet's done an In Conversation, I think. And there's a few other things in there. I'm just disappointed. I couldn't see a Behind the Sofa. That would have been good. Maybe they're saving that for the collection set when they eventually do it.
Oh yeah, maybe they'll do, because there's been rumblings and like chatter about like, they might do like a Wilderness Years collection set, which would be lovely. You could see all the things being thrown on, like Curse of Fatal Death would be thrown on there probably, and Dimensions in Time. Oh,
Don't escape, Doctor. Say goodbye, doctors. You're all going on a long journey, a very long journey.
anyway, can I say one thing? I hope they do fix in the version that's going to be coming out very soon. Please, that Nick Briggs go in there and cook us the Daleks at the start. Please, oh my god,
that would be so good if they fix the Dalek voices.
It's so funny. I think it's the director, I want to say, and who sort of misremembers the I'm pulling this from a Clever Dicks Films video, because all my Doctor Who knowledge I get from Clever Dicks Films, because the man knows his stuff. But it's like it's the director misremembering what the Daleks sort of sound like, so it's why they sound so sort of high pitched and so more like exterminate, as opposed to what we all know and love. So
you say this, but it's just tiny little baby Daleks exterminating.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, they've put the master from the Dalek nursery to be executed instead. Yes, that's what
it's
it
Muppet
is.
babies, but with Daleks.
Yeah.
And I think it's really lovely as well that I think that any other piece of media which would start with sort of like a exposition dump, which the TV movie does, I think it does it in a really like interesting way actually, because I think it's rather than it being like a wall of text, or I think it's maybe it's more because I'm speaking as a Who fan. You go into it and it's like, oh, okay, this is where things are currently. This is the story being told. Maybe for a casual audience, it'd be tough, but I didn't think it's too egregious. Yeah,
I wanted to ask you guys about this because, like, like as a Doctor Who fan who knows the series, I think it works fine. But to introduce to new viewers, that's always been the kind of big criticism of it, is that it starts with the Seventh Doctor and it starts with all this lore and stuff, and then it's the criticism is that it's a bit inaccessible for new viewers to hook them in. But watching it today, I was like, well, yes, okay, it's not quite as accessible as just a fresh new face turning up and then gradually, but we don't have this like in 2005, Christopher Eccleston turned up. We didn't, for a new audience, there's this mysterious character, and you find out who he is along with the story, along with Rose, and throughout that first series, all the information you need is kind of peppered in gradually, whereas this kind of just dumps it all in a lore dump exposition at the top, which could feel quite inaccessible, and maybe that's why it didn't do well in America. But watching it today, I thought it wasn't that bad. Like it's still you do have TV shows that kind of start like that don't have existing characters, existing episodes, and they're just kind of that's how they choose to introduce you to someone. So I don't know, what do you guys think?
And I think maybe it's that like maybe our sort of our sensitivity around TV has maybe progressed as well in that time. Maybe at the time when it came out, people were like, oh, I can't really get behind it. But now people are sort of more, people will be invested in like the lore of something if they even are just picking up for the first time. Be like, okay, maybe I'll delve more into this. It's given me some questions I want answered here, which is quite interesting. I mean, I think this is more accessible than, say, something like Space Babies, for example, which was like episode one of this new era. It wasn't really episode one because you had the specials before that, and then you had a Christmas special before that. So this, as sort of a straight, just go, oh, here you go. This could be a new adventure. I think it's better in terms of things. In terms of that, I do think that the inclusion of the Seventh Doctor there, that I mean, Doctor Who fans would have been sort of wanting that anyway. And
yeah, I mean, I loved the fact that he was in it. I like that tying up of knots, but yeah, just I guess, what did the American audience that had never seen Doctor Who before think about it?
Again, it's tough, isn't it? Because we can only come to it from the mindset of Doctor Who fans who sort of know this inside and out. It's funny. It's one that I've watched my wife, and she's really enjoyed. Maybe not having so much, sort of knowledge about classic Who, but then again, she's has quite a lot of knowledge from the new series, having watched it with me. So it's like, maybe retroactively she's got clues behind it there. I'm not sure. It's a tough one, Okay.
What about Star? What do you think?
I think it's all right. I think if it got a full series, it would have worked a lot better. I think because they were like, okay, we might only have one episode, which they did only have one episode. We need to get everything in, so if we do get a series, we can hit the ground running. I don't think it's the worst that it could be, but it does feel a bit heavy on the info dumping.
Yeah, I suppose when you're mentioning stuff like like the Eye of Harmony and the Cloister Room and all those things as well, it does get a bit like, okay, sort of like paint by numbers for you Doctor Who know.
They do drop a lot of things like that, but I don't think the script ever makes it feel like, oh, you should already know what this is. They just they mention it in the same way that they would introduce something new when the first time the Doctor mentioned the Eye of Harmony, for instance, in the classic series. When these things get mentioned, you don't feel like you should already know what they are. You're being told what they are at that point, or it's just a name for something that's being used, and that's fine.
It definitely would have been worse if it was like if they'd done it with lines that reference the old show. So like if they specifically said, "Ah yes, the Eye of Harmony, I did this when I had a big long scarf," or something like that.
Yes, or if they'd gone like
Remember Maverick
the
Chen?
INR, yes, Maverick Chen, yeah. Yes. Or if they'd gone like the Eye of Harmony. Oh, didn't this used to be on Gallifrey, but now I've got it in the TARDIS and that kind of thing. It like if they'd added that level of detail into it, that would have been too much because they'd be like, "What? Why are you telling us this?"
Yeah, even things like I think like the Doctor and the Master both reference like having 13 lives. I don't think that's too
No.
anything. I think that's more like, oh, that's referencing that. Okay, this is the eighth Doctor. There'll be doctors following this if this carries on, and there were doctors before it. Go and check it out if you want to. It's not too. It's like you say, it's not. Oh, you need to have watched The Deadly Assassin to appreciate this. Oh, you need to have seen Planet of Fire to truly understand this TV movie. No, it's yeah. I think it's I think as a pilot, I think it's very good, but I can understand as well, maybe why it didn't get picked up. But I do think it's so good though. It's it's a tough one,
and it has the best version of the theme tune. I think I love this version of the theme tune. This is my favorite version.
It's funny, isn't it? It kicks into it the middle eights, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So,
and I kind of really love that. The middle eight is my favorite part of the theme tune. So the fact that it just kicks straight into that, which I suppose makes it not a middle eight anymore because it's not in the middle, I guess.
Yeah,
in this version. But yes, I love it. It's the first version that they did that was fully orchestral, and it's got that real big oomph to it. Love it.
Yeah, like the names fly it, and you get the oomph as they.
Yeah.
Like the whoosh, which is really lovely effect as well, isn't it? And I love the logo. It's sorry, this is my favorite logo. This is so boring. It's just so boring to say this, but I love that logo.
I love that logo.
The logo is great.
If I would happily have that logo on everything.
Future editing star here. Just give me a second, Jack. Let me just. This is really going to confuse the people that are just listening.
Just that one forever. As much as I love the Whittaker one, which they put on the collection sets, what have you, I love that uniformity of that. If it was just that logo, which I think it's originally like the Pertwee logo, actually, it's sort of like a version of it.
It's an improved version of it, yeah.
Yeah. If that was the logo we had going forward forever, I think I'd be happy.
If I ever became showrunner of Doctor Who, I would reinstate that logo. That would be the logo for the show.
Love it. You heard it here, folks. Phil's been with the Cardiff, yeah.
Yeah, I would do it as an art. What RTD did with the reinstating the diamond one, but for me it would be this one.
Lovely, really nice. Yeah. It's funny as we go into it as well because I think that Sylvester, number one, it's amazing that he comes back for this, but he also just gives a really lovely performance. Like, I think it's really gracious that he came back to it to do this part. And then I also think it's really funny that the Doctor that's supposed to be this master manipulator, like this chess master playing these intricate games, facing the Daleks, facing gods of destruction and eldritch nightmares, scaring these gods off. He's done in when he doesn't check the bloody scanner. I say that he's done in by that shot, but actually it's this is something I don't think I ever realized before. It's actually Grace, because she does that exploratory surgery on him that actually winds up doing him. Yeah,
he would have recovered, I think, had it not been for that surgery.
Yeah, so again, it's really funny, isn't it? Because the Doctor's survived being shot before as well and not had to regenerate, so it's really funny that he's shot again, face Daleks, eldritch gods, and what actually does him in is the American healthcare system.
He saw the bill at the end and was like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm going to
No.
change my face so they can't track me down and charge me for this."
That's what it was. It was all just an elaborate tax dodging scheme. Yes, that's what it was. Like, no, no, thank you. But I really love Grace in this as well, I have to say. I really love Grace. You know, despite the fact she kills our doctor, I really love seeing what she has in this. This, number one, it's really cool to have a doctor actually be the companion for this story, you know. But her boyfriend really needs to get his priorities straight as well, you know.
Yeah, like he's annoyed that she's being called into a hospital to save somebody's life.
Yes.
Like,
Fucking dick.
In my
Fuck
notes,
Brian.
it does say like, why she gone to the opera when she's on call, but then also as like his reaction to that, then that she's on call and has to go to work, is absolutely.
but also he's a
ridiculous.
doctor as well, because he's referred to as being a doctor as well, so he should understand.
You really would think so, wouldn't
I
you?
think he's jealous because I think she's done better in her career than he has, and he's harboring some deep sort of sexist jealousy that she's done better than him.
Yeah, because like you know, when they go to the institute later in the story to like get the atomic clock to help fix the TARDIS, she's on like the board of trustees for that
Yeah,
place. And I'm like, you're quite young to be this successful, Grace. Like, this is quite.
and the
know.
the CEO of the hospital or whatever is willing to commit perjury, like forgery, to cover up her mistake in inverted commas, so that she doesn't, the hospital don't lose her, because apparently, you know, she's so good.
Yeah, and I think it's a real shame that we've not been able to see her come back, you know, and until this point, you know, but it's
Big finish.
Yeah, big
Enter
finish.
stage left.
Finally,
Kind of.
you know,
Kind
they've
of.
given people what they want. Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
The actor's back, playing a character that, spoilers for the Eighth Doctor Time War series, if for those that don't listen, but this character, Hiroshima Friend, I think is the name, takes on the form of loads of his past companions. So each box set looks like a different one of his past companions. So this is how they're getting around the rights issues, because she's not playing Grace. She's just going to be playing Hiroshima Friend, and at some point I presume the Doctor's going to go, "You look vaguely familiar."
it's really funny that that's how they've had to work around. And it's really fun. So I remember seeing someone say, I want to say it might even have been Matthew Jacobs, who obviously wrote the screenplay. It's Matthew Jacobs, and I'm not getting mixed up, isn't it? But I remember him saying on Twitter at one point, when someone asked him about the rights issues regarding Grace, he was like, they were sorted out ages ago, so they should be able to. But this is a few years ago, so maybe he was just ill-advised or misspoke. But I don't know. In my head, they should have been doing Grace for a long time, but who knows? Who knows what the actual issue was? I know they found workarounds before, because they've obviously cast Daphne Ashbrook and Chang Lee's actor in.
They were unit personnel, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is funny, isn't it? But you know, it's funny, isn't it, though, that they could do that with them, but you know, Eric Roberts can come back as the Master. But I guess suppose it's
because he's the Master.
Yeah,
it's a pre-existing character.
Yeah. Funny though, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose we should talk about the man himself, because we haven't actually really said his name much, but Paul's so good in this, isn't he?
No, don't apologize. It was my fault. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm perfectly fine.
He is just wonderful.
I can't believe we're getting to see him even prettier in 4K.
Oh yes.
I was amazed because there was it was a meme for so long about the fact that Paul McGann doesn't age. And I mean, he's finally starting to age. But actually, when you go back and watch this, he does look so young. I was amazed at how young he actually looks.
For me, it was that, but also his voice as well. I could. He's got that beautiful hot chocolate voice. He does, absolutely. You sit back and you listen to it, and he does the lullaby from Curse of Peladon. And you're like, oh, Paul, yeah, do it, do this all you want. I could actually hear the difference between then and now. How much younger he sounds then, and it's not slight on him at all because he still sounds absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I adore his performance no matter what. But yeah, there were so many little bits as well. Like you could just see his performance, just way he was going through. Just there's a scene where he's there with he's not got his memory back. He's still sort of figuring it out. And Grace is going to her car. And he does this wonderful little thing where she's like there and he's like in her face. And she's like, oh, and then he disappears for a second. And she's like, oh, okay. And she gets in the car and he's in the back seat.
Please, you must help me. You're a doctor.
Yeah, well, my oath just expired. Stand back. Ugh.
And it's like this. I was like, oh, okay, this is that classic sort of Doctor Who run around. Obviously, it adds to it then where he's sort of like and pulls the thing out of him which she'd left during the exploratory surgery, because she's exploring there the fact that he's got the two hearts and then like something gets stuck in there, and that's what
the camera gets stuck in there when she's doing the keyhole surgery for the heart because she thinks she's going the wrong way because she's in the different part of the heart than she thought she should be in.
It does make me wonder how it got affected during regeneration, because obviously the whole body's shifting. So
I guess it just changed around it. I suppose that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, where would it go? I mean, like if let's say like the first Doctor had like hip replacement or something, is there still a chunk of metal in the Doctor somewhere? Or did the second Doctor like spit it out at some point? I don't know.
I like the idea that the Doctor has had different surgeries at some point, and then just as he regenerates, at some point in the 24 hours after regenerating, something just pops out of him, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like Pertwee has a random tattoo, doesn't he? Which obviously John Pertwee actually had in real life, but just appears on him. So I know. And before you say anything, before anyone says it, I know the EU has sorted that out somewhere. I know there's some sort of there'll be a big finish or a short trip somewhere.
I don't know if it was just a fan theory or if it was actually in the EU thing, but I think it was posited that it might be like a symbol the Time Lords put on to symbolize his exile or something like that.
That's quite funny if it is that. Please let it be that. I'll have to bring it back out for a Cannon Buster at some point, won't I?
No, I'm just picturing it just peeling off like a sticker.
Maybe that's what it was.
At the point they restore his ability to leave the planet, it just kind of drops off.
Yeah, someone just comes in and is just like, hold tight. like duct tape.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what these Time Lords are up to? There's a lot of reference to Time Lords in this as well, in the fact that obviously you could do a drinking game of how often the word Time Lord is said and probably get a bit sloshed, which is, again, maybe that'd be an issue for a new audience, but being what it is, I think it's
I think it's quite a self-explanatory word, though. Like it's Time Lord, and also you want to get the audience to familiarize with it. You repeat it a lot, bring it up a lot, and that by the end of the hour and a bit, they will know what a Time Lord is.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, to be fair, I mean Eccleston and Tennant in particular did say "I'm last of the Time Lords" an awful lot, so I can't really criticize it for that either. So. Let me have a look at my notes here because I made some other interesting ones here.
While we're on McGann, what is your favorite McGann moment of the?
The shoes scene.
The shoes. I was going to say the shoes. New shoes.
It is easily. It's the shoes.
The classic.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
A meteor storm. The sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
What?
These shoes! They fit perfectly, yes.
Yeah, the way he describes that night on Gallifrey, the energy he has, the just sudden snap back to these shoes, they fit perfectly. He's an ADHD puppy.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah.
He is, isn't he? Yes. Yeah, and he does it in such a charismatic way as well. He's like eccentric and weird, but in a very charming way.
It really is. I mean, the way he talks about that, the way he sort of explores about that memory with his father as well, which is like, which is, I think for anyone watching would be like, oh, we're getting lore about the Doctor's, because obviously this talking as if it'd be the first Doctor, which, whatever has happened since then. It's really cool. And maybe that's like a leftover from the original like Leaky Bible, which obviously would have been the idea of this.
That had a whole plot about his dad, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How the Leaky Bible had this whole thing about how I think it was Ulysses was going to be his father, and obviously he was going to be half human, and the Master was going to be his brother, and all this stuff, which Doctor Master shippers, I can only imagine you're the happiest people that didn't become a thing.
They had a nickel for every time the Doctor and the Master almost became brothers.
It's funny actually, because I remember watching this as well. Like, when we're in that first scene of the TARDIS and the Doctor places the urn with the Master's ashes down and uses the sonic to seal it, what have you. When he comes back to it later and it's sort of blown open, there are all these candles all around it. Like, it's this beautiful sort of almost shrine to his enemy. And I did just sit there and think, oh, Dr. X Master shippers, you got a lot of food here, didn't you? Like, this must have done a lot for you. That whole, he's put his X in this little corner, and it's all sort of like, all these candles and beautiful little ambiance.
And then it just, when it's shattered and covered in that suspicious gunk.
Yeah. They really could have chose a different color. I'm not saying it's beneath us on this podcast to talk about that. I mean, go listen to our Timelight review. But it's an interesting substance they decided to go with for the Master, and the color of the snake and the goo.
As much as I love this movie, if it was released now as is, completely new, it would not survive the memes.
It really would not. I'm surprised. There's the scene in the ambulance where the Master sort of spits like the acid.
And I'm stuck in a traffic jam. Excuse me.
It's and then there's another scene later on as well where there's like a bunch of like security guards which are covered in like this webbing.
The Master?
Those guys had way too happy a time.
Yes. Again, I'm not going to bring the tone of the podcast down with that, but yeah.
Yeah, the Master as well. There's that scene when when Bruce has just been taken over and he's woken up and his wife kind of thinks that he's being kinky by saying "call me Master" as well. That's a bit like, where's this
especially
going?
and it's aged very poorly now as well, isn't it? Like, and
then he turns around and snaps her neck.
Yeah,
I'm guessing, part of me thinks, wouldn't the Master take advantage of that situation, but possibly not if he's more into the Doctor.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he has a line later on as well where he's sort of like,
I am not Bruce. It took me a minute with the talking and the walking, but I am not Bruce. I am merely inside his body.
He starts off being very sort of like like when he's in the hospital, like
he can't speak properly.
Yeah, they're going for like the Terminator, aren't they? You know, in a way, like, you know, when he's talking to the woman, the nurse there. But later on, and it's when he starts to become sort of more masterful and sort of play with it a bit more, where he's sort of like, yeah, it took me a minute to sort of get used to the voice and get used to talking again. That's when he starts to have a bit more fun really in the role. It's almost like those first scenes maybe would have been Eric Roberts' first ones filmed, and then he's like, oh no, this, I can have some fun with this.
I was wondering that as well, if they maybe like changed their mind about what kind of portrayal they wanted, but they'd already shot some stuff, and so that's how they explained it.
Maybe because he has these lovely little moments in it. Like there's a really cool one when they're in the ambulance and the doctor is sort of like doing the doctor thing where he's talking very fast, he's doing all this stuff, and Grace and the master just have these little sort of like bits where they're just like chipping in here and there, and it's really this lovely dynamic, just for the master being like, yeah, I get what he's talking about, but you know, I'm kind of taking the mick out of him at the same time, which is very mastery.
Oh yeah, because he has that line about Grace says, he likes to call himself the doctor. I'm sure there's a word for that, and he's like transference.
Yeah,
he likes me to call him doctor. Well, you know, Freud had a name for that.
Transference.
Yeah, that's very witty, Grace. At least Freud would have taken me seriously.
Yeah, it really got me there. And there are a few times where he got me with his thing as well. I think it's really funny as well, his scheme with Chang Li, where he's like, oh, the doctor's stolen my body, but you have to help me or I'll kill you. Like, it's like, oh.
It's like, this should be obvious who is the evil one. He's threatening to kill you.
Yeah. He's like, oh, the doctor's done evil, horrible things with my body, and if you don't help me, you're going to die.
But it's okay, because here's some gold dust.
Yes, yeah.
Which I'm going to just throw this quickly in. Having gone from a Thomas obsession to Doctor Who when I was younger, gold dust was just Thomas and the Magic Railroad to me.
Gold dust!
But also, what do you do with gold dust? Like, how do you turn that into something tangible you can spend? How do you turn gold dust?
I mean, to be honest, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I other than, and then this is very in universe, other than say blow up a Cyberman, I can't think of a real sort of thing you use gold dust for.
Is that why it was in the TARDIS?
It could be. Yeah.
Is that why the Doctor has a bag of gold dust in the TARDIS?
Because like when he takes the Sonic out, he takes it out like a toolkit, doesn't he?
I can't believe I've never clicked that before.
Maybe that's exactly
why
what
he has
is.
it.
Yeah. Well, it could be, you know, because like, and this is the first appearance of the Sonic screwdriver since the Visitation as well. Like they're all through Classic Who, you don't see it after that point. So it's really interesting. Like maybe, well, I'm sure Big Finish have had the Seventh Doctor using the Sonic screwdriver at other points there. But I was thinking, oh, maybe this is like the reintroduction. You just found it in that toolbox and oh yeah, I'll use this again sometime. But yeah, again, I'm sure Big Finish have ruined that and definitely had Seventh Doctor stories with him using the Sonic, and it feels like a boring point to go on about now, so I'm going to go on now. I want to talk about someone who I think is an unsung sort of hero of this, which is quite funny actually. The morgue attendee.
Oh my god. God, no!
I found his performance in this so funny today. Like at the start, I was kind of like, oh, I don't really like him, how he's sort of making a joke with like the corpse of the Doctor here. But I guess maybe it's that sort of like gallows humor that someone working there kind of has to have really to get through that.
Yeah, I feel like if you work in a morgue, you kind of need to have some sort of mechanism to cope with it. And if that's humor and it works, it works.
Yep. And he's watching Frankenstein, isn't he, on the TV? And I do really like the way that what he's watching, it keeps cutting between that and the regeneration, and the scenes kind of mirror each other. Like they in Frankenstein, they pull back the cloth off the monster's head, and then at that point it cuts to it coming off of Sylvester McCoy's head, and like just mirrors it really nicely.
It really does. And you've also got it sort of just before that scene, it sets up the master taking over Bruce's body as well. And like you have it transition as well. That moment is, like you say, there is just going between Frankenstein and the Doctor's regeneration. But it's really interesting that you have that, the parallels running there as well anyway, because, you know, whereas the Doctor has this rebirth like Frankenstein, Bruce becomes a monster in the form of the Master. So yeah, there you go. There's an essay thesis for you there.
Yeah, it's really well shot as well. There's like these, like after he emerges from the morgue and he's just walking down the corridor, it does this kind of like moving Dutch angle thing where it kind of tracks its panning. Well, I'm trying to think of my right terms now, but like it's panning back, but also doing like rotating the camera at the same time. And there's this great light behind Paul McGann as he's walking in these, just covered up by this sheet. Some great imagery in it.
Yeah, and it's funny in that scene as well because you can still hear the movie playing in the background, and you can hear a woman like screaming, but as you get further away, it sounds almost like a baby crying. And I was like, oh, there's symbolism again there, because it's like this new Doctor is birthed in this moment and going through, and then finds his way into this massive abandoned hospital wing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where we get the big "Who am I?" isn't it? Who am I?
Yeah,
I don't understand how that wasn't sealed off. Like that should have been a lot more sealed off. I don't even know why it's in that state. Also, who put all those mirrors in there?
I'm guessing because it's like he's broken out of the morgue. Essentially, it's like the basement of the hospital, which could maybe be, you know, which I imagine is where they probably have the morgues, is below the hospital. I don't know my hospital, you know, sort of layout. So I imagine that's what it is. But yeah, it's weird that there's this entire sort of wing there that's just derelict and
load of mirrors, couple of dolls.
Yeah, just for us, you know, someone's going to go in there and have their sort of atmospheric moment, you know, someone's got to have their who am I moment, or I am who.
We'll leave this room for the Jesus allegory.
Yes, yeah, that's what it is.
Because of course this is he doesn't remember who he is at this point, which is of course the first instance of a very long tradition of the Eighth Doctor in expanded media of him losing his memory, which he does quite a lot in the expanded universe stories, in the novels, in Big Finish. He's just constantly losing his memory. He's very careless.
Maybe you have selective amnesia brought on by shock.
Maybe. I can't remember.
It's funny, isn't it? That's, you know, often the joke people say is like, if I had a nickel for every time, and it, you know, and the joke is that it happens twice. It happens so many times. The Eighth Doctor.
Take a shot for every time you're blackout drunk,
this is
possibly on the verge of death.
I remember Sam, you know, I remember Davis doing a broke cannon on it, and it going on and just going on, and me thinking, oh my God, how many times? And I bet, because that's a few years old, I bet since then he's had his mind wiped a couple other times as well, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I get it though. Sometimes to add stakes to the story, you have to do that sort of thing, but it does set up a weird thing, doesn't it? But
well, he must have forgotten River Song. He's met River Song multiple times in the audios, so he's forgotten her every time he's met her.
I feel like they don't even need to wipe his mind anymore. The amount of times they've done it, it just auto does it.
Maybe. It's like, you know, there's the whole thing, like, you know, in this as well, he picks up a 900-year-old diary as well. And obviously later on in the new series, he starts saying he's 900 years old as well. So it's like, oh, surely he just forgets how old he is. Maybe that's just what it is, you know?
I've always assumed that he's just lost track. He just plucks a number out of the air. He might run with it for a few years, keeping track of from that point, and then he'll forget again and add another number.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, you know, I think like Tennant is like 903 years old or something, and then Smith is like, I'm 900, and it's only like a couple of years later. And I'm like, there's no way the 10th Doctor was only alive for a couple of years. Like, I think it's at this point, you know, they say the Doctor lies. I think the Doctor just doesn't know, and just the number doesn't mean anything to them. So, something else I loved as well, that you have the parallels to Spearhead from Space and what later is the 11th Hour as well. The Doctor reading the Doctor's locker room for his costume as well, which is beautiful. It's a Wild Bill. What's it? I can't remember because I always assume it's
Hitchcock.
Yeah, Hitchcock.
Nixon.
Yeah, and again, the Nixon mask comes out as well. Imagine that. Imagine if he's gone
There
around.
is a timeline where he just exists with that mask on.
He's wearing the Nixon mask. Is it this one? Does he get a big scarf out? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he gets the big scarf out. Yeah, and obviously Jelly Baby's a reference quite a lot. We open up to the Seventh Doctor taking Jelly Babies out of a nice big sort of martini glass at the start of things, and obviously the Eighth Doctor is referencing it as well there, because I suppose it makes sense, because at this point the brand recognition of Doctor Who would very much be leaning on the Tom Baker of it all. So it'd be like now if we had a new series going on now after a reboot, if they were started wearing like a long coat and wearing Converse or something. And
yeah, actually there are quite a lot of Tom Baker era references. You got the Jelly Babies, you got the scarf, you got even the Sonic Screwdriver is kind of the design from the Tom Baker era, isn't it? So there's quite a lot.
Yeah, I suppose even like the idea of like the Eye of Harmony and it being tied to the Master in this story is, again, we mentioned the Deadly Assassin already. It all comes back to that, doesn't it? So yeah, it's very Fourth Doctor, and again, I guess that makes sense, but coming back to what we were saying earlier, does it really work as a pilot? And I know we've said yes, but I don't know. Interesting, isn't it, to be like,
Well, it did really well in the UK. It was only in America it didn't do well. It got like 9 million viewers in the UK, I think, which not bad for the time. And it did, it was just it because it was funded from America as well, and they didn't get what they wanted out of it, so didn't carry on.
Yeah, it's how
history repeats.
Itself.
Yeah.
I'm back in the fucking building again.
Funny that one, isn't it? Oh boy.
Let's hope they've learned the lesson this time at least, and still retain the rights to use anything from the current era, the most recent Doctor Who era, unlike this one. Hopefully they learned their lesson in terms of like at least putting in the contract that they own the characters that are in those. But we'll see. I guess
we'll see, but we'll see. Well, otherwise, Rogue is going to be stuck in that hell dimension for.
They must do, because they're already using the Vlinks in Big Finish, so they must be. So that's all right.
That's true. That's one thing. Hey, there you go. You get the Vlinks, people. Let's face it. All fans of the Vlinks, all 10 of you, pop your hands up now.
10.
I know. I'm giving a lot of. I'm being very positive about that, aren't I? Yeah. We've not spoken at all about Chang Li really either, have we? In this, where it's funny. It's really interesting. They give the Master a companion in this story in his film, and I really like him in this. I really do. Like, he has some really funny lines. I think his whole thing of running away from these gangsters or this rival gang, as it were, and as he's about to get done in, it ties back to, and I'll always tie it back to Day of the Doctor for me. You hear the sound of the TARDIS, and it comes in, and it saves him. It's bringing hope wherever that sound is heard again.
I'm going to have to do another edit, aren't I?
Do it, Star.
That sound brings hope wherever it goes.
And I really like him through this. He, the whole reason the Doctor gets to the hospital, and yes, I know he winds up being killed by Grace. That sounds bad when I say it like that. It's not really her fault, but it is. But the whole reason, he tries to save the Doctor, and yes, he will take his stuff later on, and yes, he has some
questionable morals.
Yes, questionable morals. That's a good way to say it there. I really enjoy his performance in this, and ultimately he does come through in the end as well, which is very nice to see.
Yeah, he's because he is really the Master's companion, isn't he? I mean, he's not really the Doctor's companion.
Mm.
He's just somebody that switches sides at the end. But yeah, he's the Master's companion, I suppose.
It is really nice that they give the Master him as well to sort of bounce off as well, because they do have a interesting dynamic, which is quite, yes, obviously I know that he's not a willing companion in the sense of things that, yes, he's gonna get gold dust if he helps the Master, but also he's doing it because he doesn't want the Master to kill him. So
yeah,
it's
But you also get like the great moments, like when the Doctor and Grace have stolen the bike and they're just sitting there, and the Master's just like, "What the fuck are you doing? This is an ambulance."
What are we waiting for?
The road's still blocked.
This is an ambulance.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. That got a good chuckle out of me, that did earlier as well when I was watching it, that moment.
Also the bit where it's like, you kill me, man. It's just, you want me to kill you?
You kill me.
You want me to kill you?
No, I mean, you make me laugh, man. You're a funny guy.
I'm glad one of us is amused.
Yeah, and again, in my head that was because by that point he's started to become more like the Master, and he'd understand that there. I think he's deliberately, like, he's fucking with him. Like, at this point, he's going, okay.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, he knows what he means by that. He's not just being all stoic and alien. No, he's being straight up, oh, okay. You want to have a joke with me? Let's do this. So I think it's really, I hate to come back to always just, it's really good, but I do. I love this. I adore this story. I really do.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah. And it's got so many of my favorite. It's got my favorite Doctor in. It's got my favorite logo. I've already said it's got my favorite theme tune. It's got my favorite TARDIS until the Capaldi TARDIS. That usurped it. It was the first time it got usurped. But until that point, this was my favorite TARDIS.
Yeah, I love this TARDIS so much. It feels so cozy and obviously so gothic at the same time. But like, I could genuinely just grab a nice book, have a nice cup of tea. I'd be delighted in there.
I am really looking forward to getting the 4K release and seeing it in more detail, because even the pictures that have been released, a lot of them, like, you either see it well lit, but it's like it's clearly a soundstage. But like in the TV movie, just from the stills they've released from the 4K, you can see so much further back in more detail. The bits that were in the original broadcast were really too dark to really make out. You can see what's there, and I'm really looking forward to sort of going, oh, I didn't realize that was there. And that's why
I'm looking forward to it for Photoshop reasons, because once I get my hands on those TARDIS backgrounds, it is over for them.
Oh, Big Finish the Big Finish artists as well are really going to be mining that, quite a lot, because there's going to be a lot of, just to see it with more detail is just, for any Doctor Who story, is wonderful. But for this now, it's going to be, because we haven't got that much about it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to sit in that BFI and watch it, and then be able to see it at home as well. It's wow.
By the time this comes out, I'm assuming you already will have done.
I suppose I will. Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. What I will say as well, it is indicative of the RTD era as well, because it's a bit of an ass pull, the ending of this, like the wrap up of the story in terms of
yeah.
But I get it as well. And again, it all ties back to that sort of general audience, that if it had been more complex than what it is, and if it had been very dour in that Grace and Chang Li did die, I think it would have put a lot of audience off. So I think it's,
I don't think it's too rushed, because I don't think it's rushed in the same way that some of, say, RTD's resolutions are, where the resolution kind of comes out of nowhere as well. Whereas this is very clearly the thing they need to get the clock bit from the beryllium or whatever it is, that's been set up from the start. Like, that's the quest. They get it back to the TARDIS. There's a further complication with the Master there and her being possessed. Like, it's all building up to it rather than just suddenly coming out of nowhere. So while it maybe happens a little quickly, it's not just like, oh, and here's a button we hadn't mentioned before that solves everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's, and obviously they do in the Master in this, and he never came back. He never came out of the Eye of Harvey in the Time Vortex after this, did he? That was it.
But briefly, just on regards to how the resolution is, it has the vibe of the first Superman movie with Christopher Reeves.
Okay. Oh, what? Because of the turning back time.
Yeah, it's Superman rewinding the Earth.
Yeah, but it
has that. I'm not saying it's like that simple, but it has that kind of camp energy to it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it is a time machine, so you can forgive it a bit more than Superman just twizzling the Earth backwards and suddenly they've gone back in time. I think,
but that's perfect logic. What?
Yeah, but he also, the TARDIS is a you sentimental thing, and that's become such a sort of like. There's so many lines of this. I remember watching and thinking, oh, that's an iconic one. That's what the people quote, like human beings seeing patterns and things that.
Here's what our cameras in Hawaii saw.
I love humans. All of us seeing patterns in things that aren't there.
That one. What was the other one? I think obviously the shoes as well. It's beautiful, and I suppose what I would say is, do you think that we missed out by not having a series following this, having this tone?
Yes and no.
Yeah, both. Like, I think it would have been I think I would have really enjoyed whatever followed it. I don't think it would have lasted as long as Modern Who has lasted. Partly because of how fickle American TV is and liking cancelling stuff. So, like, they very rarely let anything run as long as a British show will run. In anything, but especially not like the 20 years that Modern Who has been running. So I think it might have gone like 4 years, and then it would have been and then we wouldn't have got 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in a way, in retrospect, it's probably a good thing that we didn't, but I would have probably enjoyed what we got.
I doubt it would ever happen, but I would love if like Big Finish did a kind of Unbound series, just doing the stories they were thinking about doing.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because I'd be interested to know what the stories they were going to do. Because obviously, I know the Leakley Bible. The idea was going to be that they were going to sort of do like versions of old stories. Like they were going to do like the 10th Planet, but the Cybermen were going to be Cybes as like a tribe of like space pirates or something instead, which would convert themselves. So I don't know what.
Yeah, it was going to be a complete reboot, wasn't it? As opposed to this is a continuation. So I'm glad they went the route they did do. Would you think they would have, because obviously at the end of this, he goes off and leaves Grace behind. Do you think it would have been a Donna Noble situation where they run into each other again, and then this time she wants to go traveling with him if they'd gone to series, or would they have just got a new companion? What do you reckon?
I mean, I think it would have been, maybe it might have been that they come back to Grace later and like start with a different companion, and don't know, that maybe that would have been the way. But I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't have liked to have seen more of Grace, So yeah, but then again, it's the Eighth Doctor has had so many companions at this point, and I genuinely like most of them, to be honest. That I can't say I would have disliked seeing someone different for a little bit as well, and maybe come back to Grace. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it would be weird if they had picked it up, given this was a pilot, that you would expect the main cast to carry on. So you would probably expect them to want Grace back, I suppose. from a network point of view.
That's true, yeah. Maybe they might have picked up Chang Lee as well and been like, they might have had a 3-person TARDIS team like that.
Yeah.
Who knows, because he's set up there. And I know he is the Master's companion in it, but he does have a good dynamic. The three of them, they look good together, I think, on a box set,
Yeah. If they do ever or have already sorted out the right situation around it, that would be, like you say, that would be a great Unbound series to see, like, hey, what if they'd gone traveling with him?
It'd be really fun, couldn't it? Yeah. And obviously I can't begrudge the timeline we're in anyway, because despite us not having any more of the TV movie and having an actual on-screen series after that, we have so much lovely Big Finish. And Paul coming back to that and giving so many wonderful performances. And there are so many Eighth Doctor stories from that I absolutely adore. So,
and the novels and the comics and all sorts of Eighth Doctor. Obviously, the Big Finish is kind of the pinnacle because it's Paul performing it.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I tell you what, let's take the opportunity to head on over to our audience sending section. Let's listen to some space-time telegraphs. Okay, so for the uneducated, the Space-Time Telegraph, as I said, there is our audience send-in section where we'll pose you a question, what we'll talk about that week, and ask you to send in your thoughts about it. So I asked over on the socials to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the TV movie. We are bringing the biggest McGann fan we know to guest host. That's Phil, obviously. So we said, tell us what you think of the TV movie, and B, what the Eighth Doctor means to you. So there have been a few different responses to that in terms of things. Some people focusing more on the TV movie. Some people focus on what the Eighth Doctor means to them. First one comes from Samuel M. 120488872. I'm amazed I got through the numbers without stuttering. I'm great. Samuel says about the movie: Gothic cadaver wakes at the morgue, dresses up as H.G. Wells' time traveler, rides bikes and kisses. It's too much for a new audience, but it's just enough for me. And what it means to me, he means books, audios, and comics that I'll never have time to read and listen to. So luckily, we've got you, Phil, who can read and listen to all of them. Very nice. Thank you so much for that one in there. Next one comes from a friend of the show, a mutual friend, actually, a friend of Phil's as well. It's Mr. Samuel Davis.
Hello, Sam.
Hi, Sam. That's at Dread Davis. Sam says, the poster child of how not to reboot a series. Unwieldy camp with a couple of interesting franchise first swings, thanks to being written by a genuinely strange dude. It's fondly remembered anyway, and probably only because McGann is just really that good. I mean, I disagree with that.
I'm still in two minds about whether or not it is a terrible way to. I mean, I do think, too much lore, but it's not as bad. In terms of the poster child of how not to reboot a series, I think the more recent Disney Plus era is more of the poster child of that now.
Yeah, I think it has. It's taken that. It's taken a long scarf, the torch, as it were, for that one, isn't it? Yeah, I think we've highlighted a few ways in which it's maybe for a new audience isn't what you go for, but I think as a Who fan or someone who knows a little bit about Who, I think there's a lot you can get out of it still. Okay. Now I head on over to the Unauthorized of Running Discord server. We have an audience sending section where every week, if you want to talk about the topic we're talking about or want to get some questions in, this is where you do it. First one comes from George C. Music, the composer of our lovely theme tune. George says, A, the TV movie is a mixed bag for me. There's stuff I love, the console room set and art direction in general, these shoes and the Doctor outwitting a cop by holding himself at gunpoint. A lot of music, And the stuff that leaves me cold, the plot, the continuity, nods, the actual title theme arrangement. Oh, goodness. So someone who doesn't like it, unfortunately, Phil.
Okay.
Okay, so he says,
who is this person I need to fight?
George does say, he's a friend of the show. He does say, I certainly don't dislike it as much as casual fans around my age did at the time. One school friend called it too American, which I think is a tad unfair. In any case, it's better than what might have resulted from the Leakley Bible, which admittedly, I have a morbid fascination with. We really should do an episode on the Leakley Bible at some point and just delve into it. But it scares me in a way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't agree about the theme tune though. It's still my top theme tune.
Oh yeah, it's I like it. I like it a lot, but it's I can understand why it's maybe not so much for other people. George does carry on to say, the Eighth Doctor for me means a kind of unrealized potential, especially in the TV movie itself. The writing for him's a bit inconsistent here, and McGann definitely phoned some scenes in. I disagree with you there. Profusely, George.
Which scenes, I wonder, does he mean?
That's interesting. He doesn't tell us here, but he does go on to say, growing up in the back half of the Wilderness years, it seemed there was a little consensus on how to write him, which meant you had a lot of stuff where writers defaulted to generic Doctor Doctor. Personally, my favourite take on the character remains Kate Orman's ADHD romantic adventure in Love of the Universe approach. The book Vampire Science remains my favourite EDA for how well the Eighth Doctor is written in it.
Do I see Vampire Science behind you on the shelf there? Is that Vampire Science? Can I see that?
It is. That's my goodness, Phil. What an eye! It's like hidden there. It's on the shelf. Hang on.
I can see that distinctive red spine.
It's the one EDA I actually own. So, and I won it from someone on Twitter for a giveaway or something. It's I've not read it yet, but it's the pride of one of the prides of my collection, and one day I will. But to find it out as because it's the first one after the Eighth Doctor. After the Eighth Doctors, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's the second one in the range. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like this is like the reboot of the reboot in a way. Like in the Eighth Doctors is very much like, here's the Eighth Doctor going through history, having lost his memory
again.
Oh no, not again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so he goes and has little mini adventures with his old past selves, and he does meet his new companion in that one, but only at like bookends. So he meets her at the beginning, and then teams up with her at the end, and then you get this book where I think there's a time gap in between as well, where he's dropped her off at a concert or something, and then actually he's been away for like several years, but for her it's been like a couple of hours.
Wouldn't it be really funny because obviously I know the continuity sort of diverges and what have you. Wouldn't it be really funny if all of Big Finish happened in that gap and then he came back to her in Vampire Science?
There was a theory that I think that's where most fans place the Radio Times comic strip, which was released around about the time of the TV movie coming out, or just for the year afterwards. I think they had this comic strip where he had a companion that was a ice warrior.
Interesting, very cool. Okay, real. Star, would you like to do the next one from the Discord server? Seeing as I'm feeling very generous tonight.
How did I know you were going to say this? How did I know? Okay, so Aoi, that's not how you pronounce the name, but I call them Aoi because I cannot be bothered learning their actual name. I think it's like Aveen or something. I'm so sorry. But Aveen says, the TV movie itself is up there with my favourite piece of Doctor Who media, mostly because it makes me feel at home. Having watched Classic Who, now I can see how some of the more interesting plot points would just stir things up at the time, but it's the thing that got me into everything outside of New Who, and the reason I started listening to and reading the extended universe components that made up the Wilderness years. It's hard to be objective about it, but it's one of those films that always makes me feel better. And then in regards to what 8 means, Aoi goes on to say 8 is one of those characters that you just can't help but like. Paul McGann's portrayal hooks you in no matter how you feel about the film. But in terms of further performance, I really love the more experimental Big Finish and EDA portrayals, and because of that, he forms this image of what Doctor Who could be if they took a chance on some riskier scripts. To me, he represents the creativity behind the scenes of Doctor Who and the beauty that can come out of being given essentially a blank slate for a character's future.
Yeah, I think that's sums it up very well, actually. Yeah, well said. Aoi, AO. I'm so sorry.
It's spreading.
Yeah, it's the brainworms. They're getting me. They're getting me tonight. Next one comes from Reese Dell, from another friend of the show. Reese says, my introduction to the TV movie was one of the first forays into any pre-2005 Who. When the Horror Channel was showing lots... Oh, that's a blast from the past. The Horror Channel. Oh, my God.
Classic Who on horror. It's about time.
You can always judge a man by the quality of his enemies.
He must be destroyed.
He won't succeed. In the end, evil never does.
Davros, for the last time, stop the development of the Daleks.
Impossible.
You will obey me and no one else.
Kill him.
You will be exterminated! The beginning is the best place to start. From the 18th of April, Doctor Who arrives on horror.
Wow. Okay, so when the Horror Channel was showing lots of classic during the 50th, I believe I watched that and An Unearthly Child. I'm ever so fond of this story. Paul, of course, is excellent, but I'd say the rest of the cast is too. I've got a real soft spot for Robert's Master too. Production-wise, I find it very hard to fault. The production design is second to none. The score is frankly wonderful. Hey, someone who agrees with you, Phil.
Nice.
And I really like the whole look and feel of the film. Does it feel in places a bit dated? Yes. Is it a bit shite? Yes.
You can say that about any Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, you can. That's just Doctor Who, isn't it? A bit shite, yeah. Yes, it is. Still a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah, God, yes. It follows the tradition of films like Highlander, which aren't necessarily all that great, but there's so much to enjoy that you can't help but love it. I think you've also got to view it as an enabler of things to come. Without it, we wouldn't have Paul's incredible Big Finish run, and I seriously doubt Modern Who would be the same show. It's got a lot of love for it. I've got a lot of love for it, I should say, sorry. And regardless of intention or fail consequence, I think it's a bit of solid Doctor Who. Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well said. Yeah, again, we said about how it sort of enables or sort of signposts the way for Doctor Who going forward. It really does, yeah. And Reese said it there as well. Star, do you want to take the next one?
Okay, I'll do the next two, technically, because we've got a short one from Kian the Quark, who just says, the TV movie, or to give it its correct name, Bisexuality, the movie.
Yeah, true.
Real and true. And then Andrew Walker, personal friend, owner of, well, one of the owners of Inner Ring Collective, says, first of all, I must warn you, don't call it a movie. That was the mistake I made when I met Paul McGann at a convention. He said he hates it being called so, as it was a TV pilot meant to launch 6 seasons with him in the role. Long before I knew what a Big Finish was, I had watched this pilot and I absolutely fell in love with 8, like he fell in love with shoes. Whilst 9 and 10 are my Doctors, 8 by the time the credits rolled became my favourite, as well as his TARDIS. I'd always get the funny looks when I said so to people because he only appeared in 1 movie. He barely counts compared to Tennant. But that didn't matter to me. I was over the moon when Paul finally got his regeneration scene, and hearing him name his companions is what led me to Big Finish. As for the pilot itself, I can enjoy it for what it is, but I do understand to attract the new audience to the show, the story itself was a combination of too much, but also not enough. So I'm glad things worked out, but also I would be curious to see a timeline where it was a hit and we got those 6 seasons.
6 seasons in the movie it could have been.
Show's gonna last 3 weeks. 6 seasons and a movie.
Could have been.
So it's Paul. Was it Paul that said 6? It was meant to be 6 series then. So was that it? Where he was contracted for? Do you reckon if it had gone to series, he'd have been committed to it for 6 years?
You know what? I'm gonna have to ask him, aren't I? At the BFI,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go. Right, Paul.
Fact check Star's friend.
Yes. Genuinely though, I'm really terrible because if I ask those sort of questions, I would forget the response. I'd be so sort of. But I think you've seen me. I've been called up onto that stage a couple times. I don't know if you. I think you might have been there for one of them, and
Yeah,
I was so sort of like freaked out, like just being on the stage and talking in front of a big room of Doctor Who fans, that I think if I had a question for Paul as well like that, I think I don't know, maybe I'd be all right. Maybe the anxiety would kill me, who knows. But yeah, no, we'll fact check you on that, Andrew. We'll fact check you on it. Okay, next one. Well, I say next one, it's the final one. Enemy of the podcast. Here we go. A mutual friend to us all. It's showrunner of Red Twilight. It's Catherine Wheeler, or as she calls herself, Master. And Phil, she has a bit here. Okay, she basically pretends to be the Master when she sends in. It's
okay.
Okay,
So
here we
we're
go.
getting something from the Master about their own movie. Cool.
We are. Okay. Dearest, gentle white boy, podcaster, your 2 questions answered. 1, what the 8th Doctor means to me. The 8th Doctor is mean to me. 2, what do you think of the TV movie? I enjoyed it greatly. There's going to be a big finish where I'm sitting in the BFI. Yours helpfully, the Master. Thank you, Kat. Thank you for that. And thank you for all our audience senders there as well, everybody. It's lovely to know what 8 and the TV movie mean to you.
Have we asked ourselves what 8 means to us? Because we talked a lot about the TV movie. But
that's true. What happened?
Well, what does 8 mean to us?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we know for Phil it means a lot of financial
burden.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what it means to me. Yep, definitely. An empty bank account.
But beyond that, I suppose.
I find these sort of questions really hard because I'm not someone that generally thinks like that in that sense. In the kind of like about media, like what does this mean to you emotionally and stuff. It's a show. The 8th Doctor is the bit about Doctor Who which I've engaged most with and really enjoy. That's probably how I'd describe it, but I don't know. I feel a lot of people have all these like poetic answers about these sort of questions, and I don't generally
I think that's poetic in its own way, Phil. But it's like, yeah, this is what's connected with you the most.
Yeah.
So that's that's like this is your your favorite Doctor. This is your favorite.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of that is when I encountered it because I was 10. That's kind of the age that like you're primed to really get into Doctor Who. Really, that's kind of you're old enough to understand it. You're young enough to still find it really, I don't know, exciting and magical and stuff. And so I was that age. So I kind of hooked onto that Doctor. And of course, there wasn't another Doctor for another, what was it? 9 years after that. So for a long time, that was just the Doctor for me. So I started reading the novels and then eventually got into Big Finish. And yeah, it was, so I guess that's, it's kind of my other way. I had watched Doctor Who before that, and I had merchandise and I had VHSs, a few of them. That's kind of what transitioned me from more casual fan to more like, oh, I want to find out, I want to read all the expanded media type things.
Sure. What about you, Star? What does 8 mean to you?
I've been thinking about this since you put the question out for the audience thing, but I'm genuinely not sure how to word it. Because like there's a lot of things I could say, because 8 does mean a lot to me. I liked it before, but specifically during lockdown, I got really into all his expanded media. I pretty much bought every Big Finish he had at that point at once.
Cool.
Ooh.
I was worried about
Ouch.
my wallet. That at once. Jeez.
Yeah, I think it was like 500 or something.
Ooh.
That
Ouch.
was on sale.
I was going to say, please tell me some of that was in the sale.
Yeah, it was like all the Lucy, Sharda, the Eighth Doctor version, all the box sets up to Stranded 4, I think it was. Got all of that in one fell sweep, including Time War as well. And it just really carried me through lockdown because I was got a sense of adventure from it. It was giving me something to remain inside for because obviously we're all like, you're not allowed to go outside. And it just kind of kept me going. And eventually, I definitely think this is part of the reason why I ended up doing my own Doctor Who fan series and why I started dabbling in that, and then eventually leading to doing this pod. Just having all those kind of adventures and listening more to audio and embracing that medium. So I think eight means creativity, I guess, to me, because it inspired that kind of creative whirlwind of stuff.
Lovely. Brilliant. For me, it means getting to the Big Finish and really, really loving it. My first Big Finish ever was Light at the End, which was the 50th anniversary story, and the Eighth Doctor is like the first Doctor you meet in that story, and is very much holding your hand as if to be like, okay, yeah, no, this is a viable medium. This is, and you meet the Eighth Doctor, you meet Charlie in that as well, who's the companion in that story with him, and yes, you meet Doctors 4 to 7 as well in the story, and there's cameos by 1, 2, and 3. But so much of my love for Big Finish stems from that and going, oh, actually, I can get behind Doctor Who in this medium. I can get behind this format for the stories. So, I mean, I'm hundreds of Big Finish stories into my obsession and love for it now that all ties back to that. And again, that's a wonderful release for me because it's the fan service aspect that you get all the Doctors in it, but so much of that release as well is just the Eighth Doctor and Fourth Doctor bouncing off each other, which here's one. Paul McGann told me at a con because I had him sign my copy of Light at the End, the collector's edition. He was like, oh, this one was fun to record. We went down to Tom Baker's house and re-recorded it there, me and him together. And I was like, what?
Nice.
And Paul is someone who is, when you meet him as well, is so welcoming and so lovely as well. I met him at a con a couple of years ago for the first time, and he was chatting to me, and it felt like he could have just talked to me for hours, which was so lovely and so wonderful. And I was like, it got to the point where I was sort of like, I better go because there's a queue of people behind me. But he was being so lovely and so like you could see that he genuinely loves meeting like his fans. He genuinely loves talking about this stuff to people. So it's like that's lovely to see.
Have I told you about the time I first met him? I barely interacted with him at all, really. So it's not like, but I wasn't meant to be there. So there was around about the 50th. There was this event at they launched some stamps, didn't they, around the 50th anniversary? Yeah. And I happened to be at an event about World War II propaganda films at BAFTA. And I was there with some colleagues and some friends. It was fun. There was some free drink. It was great. But then I noticed downstairs in the floor below at BAFTA, there was like a Doctor Who event going on. And I thought, I'm going to chance this. I just walked straight past the person who was ticking off names and just went into it. And it was this launch party for the Royal Mail 50th anniversary stamps. And they had props on display. They had little Dalek-shaped cakes which you could take from a table and eat. They had, and there were obviously people involved in the show there. So Stephen Moffat was there, Paul McGann was there. I think Mark Gatiss might have been there. I'm trying to remember now. And I just spent like about an hour just like, oh, I've managed to sneak into a private Doctor Who launch party for something. And I did briefly chat to Paul McGann while I was there. And then I snuck back up. I left and went back up to find my friends. I was like, some of who were also Doctor Who fans, and they tried to get in and got caught at the door and didn't get let in.
That's so funny. That's like that. I knew that story before because you've told me. I think
I might have done.
You might have said it on the podcast even, but I didn't realize that was your first time meeting Paul McGann.
That was my first time ever meeting Paul McGann. And
that's so funny.
I may have spoken to him for like 30 seconds to a minute. It wasn't long, but I was like, Ral, I've got to try, and I got a quick photo with him, which is terrible because it was a 2013 iPhone that looked, the lighting was terrible. But it's quite good, and enjoyed some nice Dalek cakes.
Oh, hey, let's face it, who doesn't love a Dalek cake?
Yeah.
Wow, but you've met him since as well.
Yeah, I've met him at other events and things. I went one of the Big Finish convention things, the Big Finish Day things that they did. I went and met him there as well. So I've met him a couple of times since then. Yeah. But
I think just what a lovely guy. What a genuine guy as well, which is so lovely to see as well.
I will say there was, when I met him, I think it was the second time at Capital Sci-Fi. He did briefly scare me because I got him to sign my guitar. For context, it's my fan doctor's guitar, so it was kind of like poetic. But as soon as he signed it, he was like, I turned the guitar slightly just to have a look at it, and he was like, "Don't touch the ink." I was just like, I'm being yelled at by Paul McGann.
I thought for a second that you were going to say, he was like, "Oh, I could smash this," and no one would say anything.
No. What I did get was I could play this.
I mean, and you'd have let him, wouldn't you? Like,
I was so hoping he would, because I'm like, listen, Peter Capaldi's been at this con, he did that. So,
but maybe I'll take a guitar to the BFI and just go like, here you go.
I'll send mine down in the post for you.
Do it, yeah. Well, thank you everyone for your responses there. And thank you both for your lovely responses as well to the question of what the Eighth Doctor means to you. We're going to head on over to the Cannon Buster. Now, Phil, this ain't your first rodeo. You've had a few Cannon Busters in your time. This is your fifth appearance on the podcast, I will say, between Battles and Fandom.
If we're counting Battles in Fandom as well,
yeah. So, like, I made this joke with Josh when I had him on recently to talk about Dalek's Master Plan. You will be getting a jersey in the post. Woo-hoo. It has Peter Davison's face on the front of it for your fifth appearance. So, yeah.
Is that now? Do we get a new one every time? So will I get Colin Baker next time I come on?
Oh, you should do, but I feel like it has to be like increments of 5. So maybe it's
Oh, can it be increments of 3 so I can get one with Paul McGann on?
Yeah, but then it doesn't work for.
Oh, fine.
Oh, we'll figure it out. It's fine. The Cannon Buster, for anyone who doesn't know, is essentially my segment where I rip or broke canon for a little bit and I give a little spicy nugget from the EU, something which I deem should be canon because I think we should be post-canon at this point, but it's a little fun factoid, little thing out there. I'm going to introduce you both to a story called So Vile a Sin, which is a Virgin New Adventure story. Virgin New Adventures 56 to be exact, written by Ben Aronovich and Kate Orman. Now, what's interesting about this one is that it came out in May 1997, which obviously is post-TV movie. So they were able to play around with things and have a bit of context to where the story would eventually go. So there's a couple references to the TV movie in this Seventh Doctor novel, which is quite interesting. The first one being that Death actually taunts the Doctor in his seventh incarnation in this, saying that he will die without warning, without purpose, afraid and alone.
That's grim.
Which is exactly what happens, but it's also it adds a layer of a layer of upset and a layer of just sadness to that end, which was there anyway. But my goodness, just doesn't it just make it sad that, you know, the Seventh Doctor, none of his friends are there. He's there, and yeah, it's without anything else like that. It is without any real purpose that he just goes like that. He just doesn't check the scanner, and then Grace gets him. But more importantly, what's really interesting about this book as well is that it leans into different timelines as well. So there are versions of the story where the Doctor is able to save Adric, talked about in this story. There's another where he has his brain fried by the computer, substituting for a dead synth op to stop Silurians and Sea Devils in Sea Base 4. So basically, what if the Doctor died in Warriors of the Deep? There's another one where he went to Androzani Minor and had his throat cut by Shockeye. There's other ones as well we'll talk about here, but the one which is really important for this is that there's actually a timeline, where the Doctor settled down with Grace as his wife in San Francisco. So that's quite interesting as well. Because there's what if timelines. There's Big Finish have a whole thing with Johann Schmidt, which is the Eighth Doctor in another form as well. So, I mean, there's precedent for it. So, yeah, there's at least one timeline out there where the Doctor marries Grace.
Yeah, I can't imagine that a whole series of the Doctor having settled down and married on Earth and not having adventures would be particularly exciting. But
yeah, I can't really say it would be all that exciting either. But it's an interesting what if, isn't it? You know, and I suppose it is funny because you then look at something like Curse of Fatal Death, where the Doctor is traveling with a wife. I don't know. It's a funny one, isn't it? But yeah. Unfortunately, guys, that does bring us to the end of the podcast. Thank you both for being here. Phil in particular for coming on and guest hosting this with us as well. Before you go, Phil, please let me give the opportunity to plug your stuff.
Oh, well, yes, you can find me on my YouTube channel, where I do talk about Doctor Who an awful lot.
Say that again?
I talk about other stuff as well sometimes, but yeah, it's mostly Doctor Who. That is Culture Filter. Filter spelled Philter as a play on my name. So you can find me there. Lots of Doctor Who videos, reviews, news, lore videos. I've got this series called Canon Update. So there's that series as well. So check that out.
I adore your Canon Updates. I really do. Like I've told you that before in terms of how Time Lord Victorious I was only able to get through it as an event because of you. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I've been loving what you've been doing the 15th Doctor ones. Really,
yeah, I'm a bit behind
stuff
at the moment. I've just realized how many stories have come out that I haven't yet placed. So I've got quite a lot of work to do in scripting those. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it. And thank you again. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Star, for jumping into the co-host spot again as well. It's been lovely having you back on.
I'll come back. I'll pop in at random points.
Excellent.
You'll never
but
see me
go
coming.
back to your den now. Go on, out the door, back to the editing booth.
That's it. I'm going to back to Star Power.
God, she's gonna form a union if I start being horrible to her. Right.
I'm not even paid.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, everyone. This has been us talking about the TV movie here. And my goodness, happy birthday, TV movie. Happy 30th anniversary. Here's to many, many more. I have been Jack.
I have been Star.
I have been Phil.
This has been an awful lot of running. Ta-ra for now.
Hello, you awful, awful people. Thank you for listening to An Awful Lot of Running, a Doctor Who podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, then please consider liking, subscribing, sharing on social media, or even leaving us a review on YouTube or your chosen podcast platform. It really does help us out an awful lot. And we greatly appreciate it. Seriously? We greatly appreciate it. An awful Zod. Okay, who writes this? Honestly, who writes this? Okay, look, it's bad enough doing Tom and not be paid, but like, come on, guys. What do you want me to do here? You give me no script, and you expect me to go what? Oh, right, okay, that should be enough. That should be enough. All right, bye.